listen, these are real conversations and topics. So that's what Confidential Talk is here for. So we talk about this type of stuff. What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Candace. I'm here with Confidential Talk. Today we are going to have a conversation about the difference between a yeast infection and a bacterial infection, and how to be able to tell what you have if you are experiencing symptoms. Okay, this is somewhat of a uncomfortable conversation. Or sometimes an embarrassing conversation, but it's very common in women to get these type of infections. So I really want to break down the symptoms between the two and talk about how you could prevent these things. Now, I will put a disclaimer out there, guys. I am not a doctor, okay? I am not in the medical field. I am not currently going to school to become a doctor or a gynecologist. I honestly got my resources from the Queen V. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this book with Dr. Jackie Walters. She really talks about intimacy, sex, and just healthcare down there in general. So I did get some of the things that we're going to talk about today from her book, and also another huge source that gave us most of the information we're going to talk about today is going to come from Healthline, and I'll have both of those in the description box if you're interested in looking further into it. But before we get into this video, if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Candace. I make videos on sex, love, relationships, and all things vaginal health. So make sure you check out some of my other videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you comment below. I do respond to your comments. Everything that I got today and everything I'm going to tell you today came straight from these sources, okay? But let's get right into this, y'all, okay? So first I want to state that these are two forms of vaginitis, okay? This is not a sexually transmitted disease. Neither one of them are, okay? I know I've been to the doctor's office before, and she made me feel like the BV was from sexually, being active sexually with a new partner. And why that can cause BV, it's not a sexually transmitted disease, okay? That is one of the causes, having a new partner and not wearing contraception, just their body bacteria, with yours, it could throw off your pH, okay? Which is going to cause BV. So, I know that most people know that yeast infections are not a sexually transmitted disease, but I feel like there's been kind of rumors or just, just some unclarity out there about BV, but I'm here to set the record straight. It is not a sexually transmitted disease, while it can be caused from having a new partner unprotected, though. So now let's discuss the difference in symptoms and how you can tell whether or not you possibly have BV or a yeast infection. So yeast infection discharge are thicker. They're more described as like cottage cheese, or as Jackie Clark said in her book. I said Jackie Clark. Or like Jackie Walters said in her book, it is like small chunks of wet toilet paper. But cottage cheese, I feel like, is like the perfect way to describe it. It is going to be thicker, it's going to be a little bit more lumpier, and it's also going to be odorless. If you have a yeast infection and you're having that discharge, it usually doesn't have a smell. While BV is a thinner discharge, sometimes can be described as yellow, gray, white, or I even saw green, and this has more of a fishy odor. And so those are the two, like, just off the bat, because most of the time that's something that is a symptom that most women do have in common. Sometimes women don't get symptoms at all, but that's how you can tell the difference between the two. BV is thinner and it has a fishy odor, and it may be those colors I just said. Or, yeast infection is going to be thicker, cottage cheese-like, with no odor. Both infections can cause very similar symptoms, but just specifically, yeast infections can cause vaginal itching. I want to read off my notes so I make sure I get everything correct. So yeast infections can cause vaginal itching, pain, soreness, a burning sensation and a burning during sex. While bacterial vaginosis, which is BV, can cause burning while urinating, also itching, and then that fishy odor, it gets stronger after sex or during your menstrual cycle. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, having sex and then afterwards you experience like a really like an embarrassing fishy odor. It's probably because you have BV. That is a huge sign of it. Okay. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, I say always go see a doctor. Always, because if you have had unprotected sex, you really don't know. There's so many different infections that we can catch. So it may look like BV or it may look like a yeast infection. And of course, I don't want to scare you guys, but it's always important to just go see a doctor and make sure, everything is okay, everything is good. But most of us knows our body, and if you are experienced with yeast infections, there are home remedies and over-the-counter drugs that you can use that will clear out the yeast infection. So if you are more familiar with that, then you can do it. If you're able to kind of tell, okay, this is a yeast infection, I got this home remedy, or I got this over-the-counter drug, I could go ahead and take care of it. Or you can get prescription antibiotics to take care of the yeast infection. And BV is different though. You have to have prescribed medication in order to get rid of the BV. I know that our pH is so quickly knocked off, so a lot of times you can kind of like catch BV before it gets too strong. Like if you notice that your pH might be off a little bit, there are ways that you can kind of try to prevent it from getting worse to the point that you are experiencing all the symptoms to the point where you have to go see a physician. So, and it's so hard. Like everyone that has a vagina knows. You might not want to talk about it because it can be a weird conversation. A lot of people just don't understand, but especially I feel like media in the past has played a huge part on women not being able to talk about the things that we go through, menstrual cycles, STIs, or vaginitis and those type of things, because it's just not commonly talked about. Or if you have white discharge, you're nasty, just all this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, 75% of women in their life will experience yeast infections. Okay, there is a lot of women. I don't think not saying that me and my friends sit around and talk about whether or not we got BV or a yeast infection, but I have rarely heard someone say I've never gotten that, or I've never ever. So at the end of the day, we've all experienced an off balance in our bacteria, or we possibly have grew some extra fungus that caused the yeast infection. So it is what it is, guys. That's why here at Confidential Talk, this is a space where we can feel comfortable having these conversations, because at the end of the day, it's life, it's what's happening. Okay, things happen to our vaginas. Okay, so don't be afraid to talk to me. If you want to drop in the comments, ask me questions, or check out the resources in the description box. I highly recommend it, because we need to, if we understand more about our vaginas and our bodies, we will know what to do to prevent certain things, and we can have a healthier active sexual life. Because at the end of the day, these type of things cause disruption in that. We're embarrassed about it. We don't want to have sex because we have fishy discharge, and at that point, bacterial infections, you shouldn't be having sex while you have it. So it's just like, listen, these are real conversations and topics. So that's what Confidential Talk is here for. So we talk about this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, I do recommend just going to see a physician ultimately, so you can get treated with either or. Because again, if you have experienced a new partner, or maybe it's somebody that you've been with, if you're experiencing just an off balance, I say still go get tested just in case. Because if it is someone that you regularly sleep with, usually your body is a little bit more used to it, and if you feel like there's something off, all of a sudden, I would still just get checked out, even though you might trust your partner. I'm not saying they did anything, but just get checked out just in case. There's nothing wrong ever with getting tested. Okay, guys? Anywho, so prevention. Okay, let's prevent these things from happening. And again, even with doing all this cotton underwear, unscented soaps and stuff like that, it is easy to knock off your pH balance, even by the things that you eat. But these are going to be just some really basic things that you just have to make sure you're just doing consistently, so you can prevent getting BV and yeast infections. Okay, so prevention, guys. Wear cotton underwear. Okay, let her breathe. Cotton underwear is the best underwear to wear if you're like just going to work, you know. Now I have all the fancy shit. I wear the fancy shit when I know it's about to be saying no. Honestly, I wear my little cotton high leg briefs though. Okay, not the high leg briefs. That's the granny panties. Not the high leg brief, but the high cheeky. Victoria's Secret was selling them for a while. The high cheeky, those are my things, because they're like a brief, but they're like short, you know. It kind of gives you a sexy look, but it goes over your stomach a little bit. I love those. Okay, those panties, it's to the point where like my boyfriend sees me in them panties. I just like, you know, sometimes I wear the sexy stuff for him, but like sometimes he see me in that and I'm just like, look, these are my panties right here. Like, I'm not, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Or cotton thongs, you can do thongs, but do not dish. Do not dish, guys. Dishing is not good for you. It's just not good, and we'll talk about that on a different video. I was thinking about actually making a video about dishing, so you know, honestly, I have a little time, I might do that right now. But you know, do not dish, guys. Do not dish. Avoid scented soaps and fragrances down there. So just use unscented soaps. I use unscented Dove all over my body because I have eczema, so I can't really use scented soaps anyways. Reading Dr. Jackie's book, she actually talks about how you're not supposed to use soap down there, but it's a little bit more, you know, a little bit more detailed than that, but we'll, again, for a different video. But if you're using soaps down there, because at the end of the day there's lots of people that use soap down there, just make sure it's unscented. Make sure when you're using the restroom you always wipe front to back. Okay, wipe front to back, and pee after sex. Now I think that actually helps prevent like UTIs or something like that. I don't think it has anything to do with like BV or yeast infections, but I just had to throw that in there because like it's so important to pee after sex. Pee after sex, guys, literally. And then if you are like wearing a bathing suit or wet clothes, as soon as you get the chance, please change out of them. Do not get into the swimming pool and then walk around in your bathing suit all day. Bring a change of like underwear or something like that, or a change of bikini bottoms with you. Once you get out the pool and you know you're about to be out the pool, you know, change, because you do not want to be sitting in wetness, because it can cause yeast infections or BV. I think more so yeast infections. I can see it being yeast infections, but I'm not sure. It was just on the prevention list. Okay. And take probiotics. It does help put good bacteria in your body, which helps prevent BV. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Comment below if you guys have any questions. Make sure you like this video and make sure you subscribe to the channel, become part of the Confidential Talk family, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.